Welcome back to this session. In the previous video, we looked at the math module, a couple of functions, actually a lot of functions, and a constant. In this video, we're continuing with something similar. We're still looking at the math module, but we're going to go in depth into the trigonometric functions. Open your practice area, your IDE, and let's get into it. So as you can see, I have some pre-written notes here. So if you're taking notes, feel free to copy these. So first of all, the trigonometric functions we're going to look at here are very useful when you're calculating distance, area, angles, when you have coordinate geometry, and problems involving trajectories, motion, and angles as well. It is very important that you take note on how to use this because it's very common for people doing competitive coding to have errors coming up. So pay close attention here. The first thing I want to emphasize, something I said in a previous video, but I'll say again, is that Python, the trigonometry of Python, expects angles in radians. If you give it a plain angle, it's probably going to give you something close to the correct result, but not quite. Let me show you. In the previous video, I used the example of the sine of 90. Let me first import this. We've imported our module. Let's print out the sine of 90. Now, we all know that the sine of 90, don't forget math.sine. The sine of 90, we all know that it is 1. But when we give Python this plain angle, it gives us a 0.89 something. That's very close to the correct answer, but it's not the correct answer. So be very careful when it comes to things like this. Always remember to convert your degrees to radians. It is very important to do so. You can see when we do that, oh, we're getting an error. Oh yes. When we do that, we get 1.0. It's a float. Again, you can convert it to an integer if you want to. But all the while, it is very important to first convert your angles to radians. However, if you're not too keen on using radians, you can also use pi. You can express your angles in pi. Pi over 2 is precisely the same as 90, and so the sine of pi over 2 is also 1. So you can express it 5 pi over 8 as well. Let's try that out, and it gives us this number. So that's the alternative method you can use if you don't exactly want to use the math.radians function. Okay, let's move on. So first we're going to look at math.sine. As I said earlier, math.sine does exactly what your calculator does. So you just plug it in there with whatever you're using. If you need to multiply it with something, you can do that. If you need to divide it with something, you can do that. You just need to be able to identify where to use it. A little explanation on what we're doing. Here we're going to convert this 30 degrees math. Let's print it out. Math dot sine of, let's say, 30. Okay, now just to emphasize this again, I have my calculator here, and I'm just going to look at the sine of 30. Now the sine of 30, we all know that that gives us 0.5. But here, look at what we have. We have negative 0.988 something. So let's see what happens when we just convert that to radians first. Oh, it's very important to close your brackets. Okay, here we go. It gives us a correct answer. Okay, let's move on to cos. Now cos works in literally the exact same way. So we're just going to go ahead and test it out. We're going to print out something. Math.cos of 30, for example. That's the answer it gives us. Now again, let's check with the calculator and see what the calculator gives us. So we have the cos of 30. It has 0.87. At least that's the answer we're all familiar with. So let's just convert this and see if our answer is actually correct. There we go. It gives us that very answer. So you have to be very careful. I'll keep emphasizing this one. You have to convert to radians. Keep that in mind. You have to convert to radians. Now another one we have is tan. Math.tan. It's not a very common one. You may or may not be using it that much, but it also works in a similar way. So we have math.tan of math.pi over 2, for example. Now you realize that numbers like this, like tan of 90, are somewhat complex. They're somewhat infinite. So even the answer we're getting here is a bit complex. So you have to keep that in mind. Keep your mathematics in mind when you're working with trigonometric functions. Okay, that's all for this video. Stick around and let's learn more in the next one.